Hi everybody, it's Rob and Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby, and today we're taking a look at the Multiplex Dogfighters.
We're kind of looking at them. It's a white plane and a white bench, but there is actually something here.
It gets my black shirt.
We'll get a close-up for you. Kind of neat about the Dogfighters, they aren't really a replica of any specific plane, but they really capture a lot of the design aspects of the World War II era, both Allied and Axis aircraft.
Yeah, it does. If you look at the airframes themselves, it doesn't take you long to realize that they've got kind of that semi-elliptical wing from the spit going, and the tail feathers are high, kind of like a BF-109 or a Spitfire. But yet they draw kind of from a Mustang too, from the nose, and kind of squared off tips on the wings a little bit. It's a montage of a lot of different things.
But I'm sure that if you look at those from a handling perspective, those are all the best handling planes of that era. So it's kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to getting together and flying it. We also have a lot of stuff to cover. We're putting in high-tech telemetry system, so we'll have their GPS sensor unit inside going to their sensor station, which is going to give us a lot of in-flight telemetry, altitude, airspeed, things like that. We'll be using also two different radio systems as well, both high-tech radio systems on the two different Dogfighters, using that telemetry with the voice module. So we'll be able to hear those specifications in the air, hear those stats in the air, and then also on our Aurora 9. So we'll go ahead and kind of sweep through everything. Rob, start us off with the airframe.
All right. Well, as you can see, Kurt, there aren't a lot of pieces to the assembly, the main assembly of the fuse itself. Neat thing about this fuse also, other than it's the built-in panel lines and the detail on the motor, the exhaust, is this is a two-piece fuse, which aids greatly in putting the electronics in, the servos, link spars, and things like that. Now we are going to be putting a custom paint job on ours, so that'll help greatly in the painting also. Now getting to the wing, you can kind of see that sort of elliptical shape we were talking about with the squared off ends. It's got a same thing, a lot of panel lines. We've got a retract detail, channels for the servo wires to be neatly tucked away. We've got our horizontal stabilizer here, the rudder, everything. With this being Ellipore, everything's hinged. It's got an Ellipore hinge to it. Basically, it's molded right in. And then we've got our cockpit also. This is our miscellaneous spars and stiffening rods. They'll go throughout the wing and the fuselage both.
Now that's our battery access as well, isn't it, with the cockpit?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the standard multiplex clips.
Yep.
Getting over to the parts bags, we've got quite a few miscellaneous parts here. Now these will all be for wing, screwing the wing on, and servo channels or control
horns
pockets.
And all the standard stuff.
Exactly, all the stuff. Got a spinner here. Now kind of unique, I was looking through the directions, the spinner just snaps on. There's no screw or anything with it being foam, which is kind of unique. Now here's the piece, Kurt. Did you do your homework?
Oh, that's the mystery piece, yeah.
That's the mystery piece.
Now, if I recall, that's the fill-in for the vertical stabilizer, right?
Or the rudder plug. That allows you to get your horizontal stabilizer through, and then you put that plug in.
Yeah.
So this
is
all
nice
just
and clean when it's finished.
Yeah, this is just a carriage piece, basically. And then we've got our directions. And, you know, typical of all multiplex planes is they're more of a builder's plane. They really are.
It's multilingual usually.
Exactly. So just make sure you're on the right directions, the right language, and it'll go a lot easier.
And then the last thing's the stickers.
Yes, the stickers. Thank you. They were out of sight, out of mind. Yes, the neat thing with the Dogfighters, it gives you a couple of options here for stickers. You've got the dog with the chain and the spiked collar look, or you can go to the more traditional camouflage look with smoke. You know, the exhaust trail down the side and the gun smoke and miscellaneous stickers.
And you notice they even have the British
roundels.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely. Of course they do.
The British rondelle. See, I'd have never picked up on that.
Well, there's a lot of things that I'm building. So, Kurt, that concludes the airframe itself. Why don't you take us through the electronics? You've got a lot to cover on that.
All right. Well, there's a lot of stuff to go over on the electronics. We'll try to make this pretty brief. With the motor, with the power pack that came with that we got for the Dogfighters, it came with a Thunderbird 54 electronic speed control. Now this does have a 3-amp BEC integrated in it. We're going to be running with 3-cell LiPos, 11.1 volt. The motor came with a motor mount and then also the backing plate and the tapered collets prop adapter. We're going to be running with a 10x7/8 thin electric prop from APC on our Dogfighters. And spinning that prop is going to be a Hymax HC3516. Now this is a 1350 kV brushless outrunner. And this will be around 14,000 RPM with our 11.1 volt battery packs, and that translates with a 7-inch pitch prop to be about 100 miles an hour on the bench, which, you know, real world, by the time you factor in drag and everything else, we should be able to break 75, 80 miles an hour pretty comfortably. The build instructions do require a couple of 6-inch extensions for the aileron servos, but what we're going to do is solder in some extensions in line. We'll cut the cords in the servo and just extend them with some thick gauge servo wire to keep it nice and clean and thin inside the wing. We're going to be using a couple of our Thunder Power packs. Now these are 25C discharge and continuous discharge, 2070 milliamp capacity, so about 2,000 milliamp capacity batteries. These will be more than ample for our power plant. The nice thing is too is we have a whole slew of these batteries over the years we've collected, so we have plenty to keep us moving, turn around quick on the ground. The system does call for some micro feather servos, and we're going to be using HS55s. These are a real popular servo from High Tech. If you look at them, you'll recognize them if you've gone to your hobby shop. The blue case, a nice, small, simple, easy servo. This is an analog servo, but more than ample for our Dogfighters.
So Kurt, we're adding a rudder option on this too.
We are. You can build the Dogfighters with 3 servos and go with 2 aileron, an elevator, and drop the rudder. But we're going to go ahead and put the rudder in. So
Gotta have the rudder.
yeah, you got to have that flat turn control, especially when you're dogfighting.
You're gonna need it to get away
We'll
from
go ahead
it.
and continue on the radio system side. We're going to be on one of our Dogfighters. We're going to use an Optima 6 receiver. On the other, we're going to be using an Optima 7. The reason being is we want to install advanced telemetry on one of the Dogfighters so we can show what's happening in the air. So this particular one is our Optima 7 receiver, and we'll pop that open real quick so you guys can take a look at it. There it is. And there's that SPC port we talked about. So we can actually come in this SPC port with power from our main flight pack, and that'll actually power our receiver. And what that does is sends telemetry information back to our transmitter. If we have a compatible transmitter, which we do, we have the Optic 6 Sport, and we also have the Aurora 9. That'll give us our main flight pack voltage right at our transmitter, and we can set those thresholds so it'll give us indication when we get to our pack cutoff, which is before it gets to pack cutoff, so we can be more prepared to bring it down on the ground. But this Optima 7 receiver does support all the telemetry, so we're going to use this on one of our Dogfighters. The HP22 is an interface you're going to need if you get into the programmable systems. You're going to want to be able to use the HP22 to be able to do firmware upgrades and then also do some setting changes as well on your transmitter and receiver. If you get into the telemetry, you're going to need the HPP22 as well, so keep that in mind. It's a real simple module that just allows you to plug in to the, oh, I ripped the box right out. Isn't that terrible? Allows you to plug into your transmitter and your receiver, and also through a USB port into your PC and do all of your updates. This also allows you to be able to view your on-screen stuff for your telemetry, which I actually have pictured on the front of the box as well. That's telemetry feed back to your PC. Speaking of telemetry, being able to transmit to the ground and receive from the ground, rather, requires the HTS Navi. Now, this is the new Navi interface, and I won't rip the box this time, which allows us to plug into a USB port on our PC. If I can get it out of the box. There we go. And then receive our 2.4 gig signal from our receiver coming out of the aircraft. So we're able to pull that navigation information down to our PC. Now the actual telemetry pack itself, this is the fuel telemetry pack. The difference being is the new HTS Blue is the sensor station for the electric, which has the amp and current and all that stuff. This will accept the GPS sensor though. It'll also accept our temperature sensors, so we'll be able to do some navigation on our electric aircraft. This is the GPS. That'll give us our telemetric information for altitude, airspeed, things like that. And then we may use the temperature sensors as well, which are down in the bottom. But this does have the fuel sensors, and we'll do a full clinic on all of the telemetry stuff and walk you through installation in a fuel plane or an electric plane setup. But it does support multiple temperature sensors, and it does have an optical RPM sensor, which we could use for now. We could actually plant this up there and put the sensor on the prop. But we're not going to go that advanced on this installation. We're going to take a look at all the electric stuff when it comes in a little closer, and then we'll do a clinic on this separately. Getting back to our radio system, Rob's going to be flying with the Optic 6 Sport, which is full-feature 2.4 gig 6-channel radio system with dual rates and expos and all that good stuff. So it has all the capabilities, all the programming capabilities. It's a very basic system, and the thing that's really nice about the Optic 6, it gives you all those advantages of the Aurora 9 in many cases, with the simple lower cost for one and the more simplistic interface and setup. So it does have your standard switches up top for dual rates and expos. It does do your flight modes, so it's heli compatible, heli and acro compatible, and it's all digital. We're also going to be flying the other one with our Aurora 9, and
Our Aurora 9, you still haven't let me fly
Aurora,
playing with that
the
yet.
Aurora 9, and then we'll make sure we connect the telemetry system up to this as well, so you can see all the different readouts on the front. So it'll be kind of a neat build, a neat setup, and I think it's going to walk into some new areas for us.
Well, Kurt, this is one case where being in the lead's not going to be to your advantage, because I'm going to be on your tail the whole time.
Oh, okay, we'll see.
That's right.
We'll see
so
how
all the
that-
telemetry you want, just
Just
not, all
watch
that's going to tell you is
the flight footage will speak for
bogey.
itself. You know?
bogey 6 o'clock, bogey 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff to cover on the telemetry. It took a little bit of time, but we're going to have to break these out in the clinic. There's just too much stuff to cover.
There's a lot
But
there.
we'll get it all installed. We'll get our 2 Dogfighters assembled and get our radio system set up. Take them out, fly them, and make sure you come back and check out the review scoring.